everything on this planet, every system, every plant, every organism, every animal, every human has had to devise a strategy for two completely different environmental conditions, completely opposing. Where we have complete darkness and cold, and then we have bright. That's a theory anyway. You wouldn't say in Ireland,
Bright
maybe.
morning,
Yeah. But we've had to adapt to two different ecosystems and environments and conditions and everything else. And that's difficult. So as humans, we're diurnal, meaning we're active during daylight hours. This is the strategy that we have either evolved or chosen. Who knows? We can ask that deep, question of why we sleep. But that's the strategy we have. Every single system in your body and brain and your mind is set up like that. So we can talk about 10, 11 systems in the body. They're all set up to be active during daylight hours. And so you find the shift worker, they're at work feeling like exhausted and they want to sleep and they're working. And then they're at home, and when they should be sleeping, they're absolutely struggling to fall asleep. Each system has a clock. So we have one master clock. It's called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. It's like the orchestrator. Every system has a peripheral clock, and they become misaligned through shift work. See, the challenge is, if it was one master, if it was just one clock, we could kind of train it much easier. But the issue is your endocrine system, all of your hormones. They have a 24-hour cycle. Your digestive system, your nervous system. We can go through all the systems and we can talk about that. So what we're asking it to do in many cases, and there are many different shift patterns, right? But often like a typical one would be 2 days, 2 nights, 4 days off. Okay, that's an 8-day cycle. So over an 8-day cycle, you're asking your body to completely change from diurnal to nocturnal for two nights and then come back to days again. It's the changeover. It's that huge opposing demand, and it's simply not possible. Like your digestive system, I'll do an example. Digestive system. When you fall asleep at night, not having eaten for 2 or 3 hours prior to sleep, that gives certain bacteria an opportunity to really multiply and clean up your digestive system. You've tiny little, they're almost like hairs called cilia in your digestive system. And there's what absorb nutrients and vitamins and minerals. And all of that is cleaned, and all the damage is cleaned and repaired while you sleep. If you're on nights and you're eating a meal at 2 o'clock in the morning, wow, that's going to smash you. And the practicality is that people who work nights, they're a lot more inclined to have digestive issues. We could talk about the risk profile as well. But it's this disruption, this constant disruption. If they're on nights continuously, they could adapt. Only 3% of night shift workers fully adapt. 3%. This is from Russell Foster's book, research by a woman called Josephine Rent. And she said those 3% that fully adapt are oil rig workers. And they're out working in this super bright halogen lights. And it tricks their brain into thinking it's daytime. And then when they go to bed, they're in metal boxes with no windows.
Okay.
So it's the environmental conditions have fully tricked them. But they're keeping all the systems online.
Can I ask a question just while we're on this point? Is it possible for, say from this point forwards, I'm going to be a shift worker and my shift is regular, and I know I'm going to be on nights 8 hours every night for the foreseeable, Monday to Friday, whatever it might be. Is it possible without changing the environmental factors, i.e. bright lights at night and dark during the day, is it possible for any of those factors, any of those clocks to switch because I'm not constantly bouncing back and forth? I now just only work and eat at nighttime and only sleep and rest and digest in daytime. Is that possible? And is the only reason those oil rig workers were able to change because of their environmental factors, or is it because they had a bit more of a regular rhythm to it?
Both, really. You cannot. You will need the outside.
Okay.
I would say you would need the
because these are all triggers for our body to do.
Well,
the light is a trigger, movement is a trigger.
How it works is your circadian rhythm is approximate. Circa means approximate. Circadian, approximate, dian, day.
Okay.
It'll drift. If you don't have the external stimulus, light, temperature, food, socialization, all those things. That's what aligns it. Otherwise, it will gradually drift. And some people have a longer circadian rhythm, other people have shorter, but it will drift. And experiments have been done in caves by various scientists over the years to show this. We lose track of the body, and the systems completely lose track of time without the cues over a longer period of time. You will never adapt. You will never adapt fully. This is what I say, it sounds kind of a little bit 70s hippie, but like you have to find the rhythm within the pattern, you know. you have to find what works for you that's the least disruptive, and you have to try and work with realigning and aligning and often splitting the difference when it comes to shift work. Okay?
So it's actually a double problem. It's the fact that it's very unlikely without a very, very careful environment design we are going to ever flip. And even if we could, most shifts aren't straightforward. Monday to Friday, 8 p.m. It's as you said, 2 days on, 2 days off, then 4 days, and then the 4 days you're sleeping all night and you're up all day. So you're just constantly shifting. So even if you could potentially retrain to be a nocturnal animal, most shifts aren't set up to facilitate that. So
no, they're not.
You've got those two problems there.
You've hit the nail on the head. I mean, it's a constant shifting, and that's the reality of many shift patterns. Even if we look at, say, right, and some people in the medical world do like a month of nights and 4 weeks of nights, 4 weeks of days, whatever. But even that, you've time off. You're off the weekend. Like, what are you going to do? Spend all day in bed and you'll be up at night? I mean, from a scientific, perspective, I can say, well, this is the best thing. Stay in rhythm, and you don't have a life, and you get divorced, and your kids don't know you, and so like we have to be practical with this stuff. Like, I mean, I can tell you the theory on the science of it, but like it has to. A person's circumstance always comes into it with shift workers. Some people have kids, some people don't have kids. That's huge. There's a lot of variables. Some people, it depends on your chronotype. Some people find night shift a lot less disruptive than others. Some people just cannot handle it whatsoever. So I think there's so much that makes it sort of personal.